Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Making It in Manhattan. If you can believe it, in the past month I have been to 2 bachelorette parties, and before that I had only ever been to my own bachelorette party and my sister's bachelorette party. So I feel like I'm finally at an age where my friends are getting engaged and I'm traveling all over for these different bachelorettes. Well, the other weekend I went to Asheville, North Carolina for one of my best friend's bachelorette parties. And you know that episode of Sex and the City where Carrie goes to like a cabin in upstate New York with Aiden to like his mountain house, and she's in overalls and she falls in the mud and it's just like so out of her comfort zone? Well, that was absolutely me, from attempting to go on like a river raft to getting checked for ticks. This was completely out of my comfort zone. So I'm just gonna pretty much call myself out and tell you guys all of the funny, wild, and embarrassing things that happened to me. And we're gonna call this episode like Caroline in the Wild. So let's get started. So as I mentioned, it was one of my best friend's bachelorettes. She's actually my little. I was in a sorority in college, in case you guys didn't know. But since I went to college in Reading, Pennsylvania, most of my friends from college actually live in Pennsylvania and live far away from me, so I don't really get to see them as much as I would honestly love to. But my best friend is getting married in September, so she is definitely like an outdoors girly. She loves to go camping, hiking, like so many things that are different from me, which is so funny. But opposites attract, and she invited me to her bachelorette in Asheville, North Carolina. I'd honestly never heard of Asheville. And when I was looking for flights, there was only like 2 flights out of New York at the day I needed to go. But of course was not going to miss this, even though it was so out of my comfort zone. Just going to Asheville and I knew we had an itinerary, and one of the days was okay, so this is like kind of funny. It was like a river raft float kind of thing. But in my mind, I was like, we're going whitewater rafting. Like, we are going to be like paddling through a crazy river. I'm going to be flipped over. I'm going to get hurt. So I was like mentally preparing for this trip. I also didn't know many of the girls going on the trip, or some of the girls were friends I knew from college, but like hadn't spoken to in 8 years. So I was honestly so nervous. My anxiety was really, really bad. But of course, like knew I had to go for my friend because she, I love her so much, and we've been friends for like since I guess I was 20 years old. 10 years. Oh my goodness. We've been friends for 10 years. That's actually insane. Okay. So anyway, I flew into Asheville on a Friday. Funny enough, from New York, it said my flight was going to be in 2 hours and 10 minutes. I got there in an hour and a half. So it was super, super quick on the way there. And I was like, oh, this was an easy flight. Then the girls, I met up with them because they flew in from Philly. We met up, and then we took, they got a rental car and we drove to the Airbnb. When we got to the Airbnb later on in the day, the group of girls were all like, oh, there's like a little hiking trail near the house that we can all hike up to get to this lookout point and to like get a really, really good view. And something that I kept joking all weekend was like, know your strengths, know what you're good at, and know what is for you. And for me, I am not a hiking girly. That is not in my DNA. So I was like, I'm going to wait at the house and hold down the fort. You guys go on your hike, have fun. And so I did. And I waited for the Uber Eats to arrive and got cozy. And by the time they came back, they said it was a beautiful view and they all had so much fun. But as we were sitting at the dining room table eating dinner, we realized one of the girls had a tick on her sweatshirt. And again, for me, who not an outdoors girl. Like literally like Elle Woods takes like the wilderness. Like this is literally the vibe I'm trying to set for you guys. I was like freaked out that there was a tick, like because the girl was sitting 2 people away from me, and I was like, even though I had not gone on the hike, like I wasn't even outside. Like I was outside sitting around. We had like a little table area we kept hanging out at. But I didn't even go on the hike, and I was like, I have a tick. I definitely have a tick. There's a tick on me somewhere. And so the girl, so I had a roommate. We all had roommates, and my roommate was this amazing girl who I'd never met before. But she was like, oh, I've gone to camp like all my life. Like I was texting one of my friends, that I couldn't believe none of you guys had ever had to like pull a tick before or something like that. So later in the night, I showered, and this is just like something I want to talk about bachelorettes and like camp and stuff. But I took a shower, and I was so paranoid that I had a tick on myself that I went up to the girl that was like my roommate for the next 4 days, and I was like, hi, do you think that you could search me for ticks real quick? And let's just keep in mind, I'd only met this girl like 3 hours earlier, like did not know this girl. And she was like, of course, like I'll search you for ticks. So there I am, like butt ass naked in this room. Like we went into our bedroom because I had just gotten out of the shower with this girl I just met. And I'm like, I just really don't want to get sick. Like, can you just make sure I don't? And it was really a bonding experience. Now we are besties for life, I said to her. And I called Dave and I told him, and he's like, girls are so weird. Like you meet someone and in 3 hours you can like be besties checking each other for ticks. So I think that's the funny thing about like a bachelorette or like camp, or it's funny, we kept all joking like we're at camp, like this is a weekend away at camp, because we were in an Airbnb. It was a house. It was 9 girls, and we all had roommates except the bride. The bride had her own room. So it's funny, like in that short amount of time, being that like we were all at this Airbnb really like in the middle of like not much going on, because our Airbnb like wasn't in Asheville, it was in Hendersonville, it's called. So like really where our Airbnb was, like really nothing was around except the woods. So it gave us a lot of time to like bond and just like talk and tell stories and drink wine and hang out. And by the end of this trip, I kid you not, I feel like I have like new friends for life, which is really so special. And it's funny because, a lot of these girls I had never met before. And we're definitely like all so different. Like they loved the outdoors. They were all about like hiking and camping and wilderness. And there I am like petrified I'm going to get a tick and wearing sequins and have never literally been camping in my life. But it really is so special. Like if you've ever gone on a cruise, I feel like I can compare it to that. Whereas like, when you go on a cruise and you make friends on like a 4 or 7 day cruise, and then all of a sudden you guys are literally like besties for life. You guys are like, you've been through something, you've been through an experience, now you're connected for life. So anyway, that first night happens, tick incident happens. So then the next day they had scheduled us to go on like this river rafting experience. I don't even know how to describe it, but all week leading up to it, I kept joking to my friend. I was like, we're going river boating, we're going whitewater rafting, we're going on the raft. Like and it became an inside joke of the house because I kept calling it something different every time I referred to it. Even after it, I was like, I survived the river rafts, I survived the river boat. But essentially it was like 9 tubes, just like single tubes that they all then hooked to each other. And then we had like a little floaty cooler thing in the middle. And we got in them and we like floated down this river, but like you had to dodge rocks, trees. There was like little like dips all throughout the river. So I'd never done anything like this ever, and I was honestly super, super nervous, and I even told my friend who was the bride, I was like, hey, like, because I already had paid for it and I didn't mind, like, just because I was so scared. I was like, I don't care if I lose the money. Like, I just might not do it because I'm really scared. And she was like, it's totally fine, whatever you feel comfortable with. But then I was like, you know what? I came all the way out here, like, just for her bachelorette, and this is what she really wants to do. I'm going to suck it up, and I'm going to push myself, and I'm going to do it, but I'm not going to lie. We had to, like, we started one place, like, we drove one place, and they took, like, a van and dropped us off at another place, because then we, like, went down the river. In that van ride to the beginning of the, like, rafting, I don't even know what to call it. I was so nervous. Like, my stomach was hurting so bad. I felt so sick because I was so nervous. Because, you know, when you, like, hype something up in your head in a bad way, you just start thinking of all the things, like, the things that could go wrong. Like, I'm going to flip out in this river. I'm going to get pulled away from the group. I'm going to lose something. Because, like, I'd gone on Amazon and I bought a clear case to put my phone in. I put it around my neck. I was like, I'm going to get hit out of the tube. My phone's going to fall in the river. I'm going to have no communication to Dave or to anyone. So all these scenarios start running in your mind. So we get there and... Well, first of all, I think I need to describe what I wore because they were like, wear, you know, your Tevas and like some shoes in case we're walking on rocks so you don't slip. I'm like, oh my God. And like a swimsuit and stuff like that. So I wore this sparkly pink swimsuit that I just got actually recently from Victoria's Secret Pink that is so cute. And it comes with a matching skirt. So I felt like I wore the skirt, so I felt like that was good. So, like, my bottom was covered because it was, like, sitting on the raft and all that stuff. And then I wore, like, a oversized button down that I, like, left open so my shoulders were covered and everything in case it was really sunny. And then I wore my Tevas, and I had sparkly pink Tevas to match the bathing suit. Then I wore pink sunglasses and a big, wide-brimmed, like, sun hat from Lack of Color. That is pink with flowers all over it. Oh, and then one of the girls who was staying at the house is a hairstylist, so she gave me French braids. So that was the vibe of the look, so you can picture it. Like, I didn't know what you were supposed to wear on this, so, like, I think that's why when I showed my assistant and my podcast producer the photo, they were like, Elle Woods takes the wilderness. Like, this is literally the vibe. So... we get in the riverboat. We get in the rafts. I don't even know what to call it. The river tubes. And they hook us all up. And I, like, crossed my legs in Indian style because I was like, what if something like... somebody said that there was, like, a water snake. I was like, I'm going to get bit by this water snake. The guy was joking there was a crocodile when he was, like... or alligator when he was like giving us the like pep talk before like don't do this, stay in your raft, whatever. And my friend was like, this is the wrong group of people. Don't joke that there's an alligator in this water. Like these people are already scared enough. So because me and one other girl were definitely very, very nervous. So we got in the tubes and then like I said, it wasn't just like, oh, like a casual little float, like you lay there and like close your eyes, whatever, like chill, drink a beer. No, there was rocks in the river, like big rocks, trees in the middle, and like occasionally there was like a dip where it like went down, like a rapid. I don't even know what you call it. So anyway, we had to bring oars with us, and every so often like you had to oar to not hit the rocks and the trees and all that stuff. But the best part of it all is when we took the oars, the girls were like, don't worry, you don't need to take an oar. Like they just knew. They were like, she's not cut out for oaring. Like if we need to like dodge a rock, like Caroline is not the person that's going to make us not hit the rock. Like they just knew. They were like, don't entrust her with oaring us and like dodging the obstacles. And I was like, you know what? Again, know your strengths, know what you're good at, and dodging rocks in the middle of a river rapid is not for me. But something I will say, and something that I apply it more so to my career, but it worked for this when I was trying to hype myself up to force myself to do this, was you should always do something that pushes you outside of your comfort zone and like makes you a little bit scared, because in life, we all get very comfortable. We get comfortable in, our daily routines and our favorite lunch spot we go to and, our typical date night spot that we always go to. And you know what I mean? So I think in life, it's really great when you can just like push yourself outside of your comfort zone. I really normally apply it to my job. I'm like, push yourself outside of your comfort zone. Try something new, whether it's public speaking or I don't know, just like something that's different that I don't necessarily do all the time. Like do something that scares you because it'll help you succeed and it'll help push you to new heights, make you meet new people, open new doors, new opportunities. So that's what I was telling myself with this whole river raft situation was like, do something that makes you scared and pushes you outside of your comfort zone. Because who knows, I don't know if I will ever be in a situation to do something like that again. And overall, I really did have a good time because I was with the other girls. Like the girls sitting next to me who, I don't, like maybe we met once in college. She's younger than me. So I don't think I had like really known her very well. But she was just like so nice. And she was like, it's okay. Everything will be fine. She was like, I promise you're right next to me. Nothing bad will happen. And every time we went down the little dips, I was like holding on to my tube. Like my nails were like cutting into my hand because I was holding on for dear life. And I was like, if you're watching the video, I'm like reenacting. I was like bracing myself for the impacts of the waves every time we like went down a little thing. But in the end, I was proud that I did it, and I was really, really happy that I did it. So then, you know, after that, and I sent a photo to Dave and to my assistant, and in it, I'm smiling, but my hands are on the tube, and I'm like literally gripping it for dear life. I'm like, if I fall out of this right now, it's the end. So after that, I was super, super proud, and I was like, ooh, time to party, time to celebrate. And so that night was like our one night we were like going out in town, and it was like, it's funny because then like that was my comfort zone because one of the girls I was with, like she'd never even been to like a club before, had never like gone clubbing or anything like that. And I was like, I got this. I got us. I'll take us out. I'll hook it up. So it's funny how like everyone has their comfort zones and knows their strengths and knows what they're good at and excels in different areas. And I think that was also one of the beauties of the weekend for me is so often I'm surrounded with a lot of people who are like me, who work in, the same industry, who do things similar to me. So for 5 days, 4 days, to be surrounded by all people who are all so different and who all have different strengths and who all have different beautiful personalities, like it was honestly such a beautiful and fun weekend and fun experience. And I really am so thankful for it because you get so caught up in your everyday life and you're so surrounded by this event, that event, whatever it might be. So to just slow down a bit and to be in an area, like the first day when we got there, we went out to lunch. And one of the girls who's like from around like, that area was like, I'm warning you, like it's gonna take like 4 hours for this lunch because they just move so slow in terms of like, I guess it's the South. She was just like, they move slow, so just be prepared. I was like, okay, we're ready for this. But it's good sometimes to be forced to slow down and to just relax and to, I guess, enjoy the moment you're in, you know what I mean? So then we went out that night. It was really fun. We ended up finding this one club and it was just a great time. Like my friend who is the bride, she just wanted to dance. That was her one thing. She wanted to dance. So I was like, we need to find a place where she can dance the night away. And we got all dressed up and sequins, feathers, all the fun bridal things. And then for the last day, we went to a winery and honestly just hung at the house and like there was a hot tub at the house and we played this game where we all, were in the hot tub and each person like asks a question and everyone goes around and answers the question. And one of the questions was like, if you could relive like any movie, like live in any movie as the main character, like what movie would you choose? Oh, like deathbed meal, things like that. Like just like different questions. Like I think kind of to like get to know each other more. Honestly, like summer camp, it kind of felt like questions, like icebreakers to connect and get to know each other and things like that. Um, so again, it was just like a really beautiful weekend and made me like cherish my friendship so much and forced me to slow down and to, unplug, I guess, in a sense. Like I was still working a little bit. Like I was, of course, still posting where I was, what I was up to, what I was doing, but it wasn't like the normal traditional work. So then, though, the weekend's coming to an end, and it's been such a beautiful weekend, so much fun with these girls, and feel like I have, new friends for life. So I head back to the Asheville Airport, which, let me just tell you, like super, super small airport, 7 gates total, like so different from JFK and Newark and what I'm used to. So my friend's flight, because since they had a rental car, the first set of girls who were flying to Philly, their flight was at 11 a.m. and mine was at 12:42. So I was like, I'll just go to the airport with you because I don't know how I'll get there otherwise. Because in Hendersonville, where our Airbnb was, there were like no Ubers, like rarely. Like it took like 20 minutes just for it to connect. And then once it connected, then it was like another 15-minute wait for the car. So I was like, I'll just go with you. I'll wait in the airport. No biggie. So while I was waiting with them at first, it's like, I guess their flight was at 11. Maybe it's like 10 something. I get a text that my flight has been delayed now until 4 p.m. And I'm like, uh-oh, like this doesn't sound good. And it says because of weather. So, I mean, it looked sunny where we were, so I really wasn't sure. So I was texting Dave, and he said it looked fine in New York, but I did see news reports that like there was a storm coming through New York or something like that. But so I told him, I'm like, it's fine. I'll just wait at the airport. Like, what else am I going to do? Like, I'll just wait here. So then I get another text that my flight is now less delayed. It's been pushed back up to 2:40. And I'm like, okay, well, that's better. So I'm still just going to like wait. So I found like a comfy chair. There was an Annie Ann's in the airport. So I got some Annie Ann's and I treated myself and I just sat there and I honestly just like edited and did some work on my phone. So 2:40 is approaching and then it's like, oh, your flight's been delayed another hour now till 3:40. So then I was like, okay. So then the next hour comes, it gets delayed another hour. Then at around like 5-ish, the airplane had gotten there, like it was all set to go. But then something had happened because the flight was delayed coming in from Newark. So then one of the crew members had timed out, they called it, I guess, like by regulations, like you can only work so many hours when you're working on a flight, which I totally get, for safety reasons, of course. But in the Asheville Airport, they did not have the like replacement person for that person there and ready to go. The person was an hour and 40 minutes away in another part of North Carolina. So there we all are, like all the passengers are just sitting there. The rest of the crew is there and ready to go. The plane is there, but we're all waiting on this like one other crew member because I guess you need a certain amount of crew members to fly. And this person's like driving in traffic from another part of North Carolina. And they're like, yeah, well, they're not going to be here for an hour and 40. So like TBD on everything. And we're all like, what? Like, this is terrible. So then that's when like it really started to get bad. Because then we're all just sitting there literally, and when I tell you this airport was so small, it's not like I could like literally at one point I was like, I'm going to walk around. It took me like 5 minutes to walk from one end of the whole airport to the other. So finally when the crew member does arrive, now since it's been so long, now there's no spot for us to land at Newark because I guess, I'm not a pilot, but I guess how it works is like you have to have a spot ready for you like for the plane when you get there, which completely makes sense to me as well for safety reasons, so that when you get there you know where the plane goes, etc. Done. So now we didn't have a spot. So now they keep pushing, and Again, I just want to reference I'm all alone because everyone had left because no one else was coming from New York. So at around 8:30, they finally call it quits and are like, okay, the flight is canceled. We are canceling the flight for tonight. Like, that's it. So then I start crying because I'm like, you're just like pent up. You're so tired. I'm all alone. I honestly also never had a flight. Like, I've had flights be delayed like hours and hours and hours, but I've never had a flight cancel overnight. And I was like, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? Now I need to find another flight. So, of course, we all go up to this United desk. Like, it's not like, oh, I'm the only one, so I can just get to the front. Like, there's a swarm of people at the United desk. And apparently there was another flight the next morning at 6:28 a.m. So I was like, can I just get on that flight? Like, put me on that flight. I don't care. Like, I need to get home. So the guy at the front desk was like, he was trying to leave because he was like, I've been here for hours too. I just want to go home. And I was like, I want to go home too. Can you just please put me on the 6:30 flight? He's like, call 1-800-UNITED. They'll put you on the 6:30 flight. I'm like, but you're standing right here. Can you just put me on the flight? It just makes more sense instead of being on hold for an hour and a half. So finally another person from United was like, no, like, we need to help these people. So then that guy ended up staying. So there I am at the United desk. The workers are now putting us all on this 6:30 a.m. flight and like tap, 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 type, puts me on the 6:30 flight, hands me my ticket and goes, he like prints out like a hard copy ticketing. And I had handed him my ID and everything so he could see my name and make sure everything was correct and blah, blah, blah. So hands me my ticket and I see it says 6:30. That's all I look at, like 6:30, and that I had a seat. That was my biggest thing because I was worried they were going to put me on standby, but I wouldn't actually have a seat. And I was like, well, that's not helpful. So I had a seat. It said 6:30. So there I am. I walk out and I walk through, like when you're leaving an airport, it's like, this is the point of no return. Once you exit here, you cannot go back in. Like, you know what I'm talking about? So I walk out of that. And then it's funny, like, again, talking about like camaraderie and making friends all weekend, I feel like me and all of the other people that were supposed to be on the flight, like, we all started like talking, making friends. I felt like I was like in an episode of Twilight Zone, or like there was a hidden camera somewhere because like everyone was just like a character and so funny. And I was like, I'm being filmed right now. Like, this is a reality TV show. So anyway, I exit the gate and I run into this really sweet older woman who like I had, made friends with, who was supposed to be on my flight. And she's like, so are you all set for tomorrow? Did you get your 6:30 a.m. or 6:28 a.m. ticket? Like, are you good? And so I'm like, yeah. And I was like, let me show you. So I take it out. And now let me just reiterate, I'm out of the security point, like the point of no return. I flip over the ticket and look at it because I had looked at it only for the time and for the seat number. So I'm like, this is wild. I flip it over. I look at it. It says 6:30 still for tomorrow. Has a seat number, but it doesn't have my name on it. It says Valentina Gabrielle. And I'm like, what? And I'm assuming that the guy who type on the computer saw VA like in my last name, like Vazzana, and he just saw like VA in Valentina Gabrielle. What? And just like selected a passenger and like done. Like, so then I I actually started having like a breakdown in this middle of nowhere airport because like now it's like 9 p.m. I'm like, now the flight might be totally booked and full, and like I might not even be able to have a seat on the 6:30 a.m. flight. And now I can't get back in the gate of security to that other United desk to even talk to the guy that messed this up. So I go back up to, so then I'm like, and Dave's like trying to call me, and I'm texting Dave. I'm like, Dave, if I pick up the phone right now, like I will start hysterically crying. Like, I cannot talk right now. So he's like, I'm going to drive to North Carolina and pick you up. I'm like, it's a 10-hour drive. You are not driving here to get me. So I walk back up like to the point of no return area, essentially, because the guy had seen me when I walked out because I said something to him. I'm like, oh, my flight was canceled, blah, blah. So we had a moment, you know what I mean? So I walk back up to him and I'm like, hey, you just saw me. Like, I was just walking out and I showed him the ticket and I showed him my ID. I was like, the guy at United put the wrong name on my ticket. Like, this is not my name. And he's like, well, you're not allowed to go back through here. Like, I know I saw you, but, like, you can't go back. It's just, like, not allowed. If you need to go back there, you need to go, like, back through security. And security was, like, literally right there, and there was no line. But I was like, are they even going to, like, let me back through security? Like, I don't have a flight. So I walk up to security and, like, the TSA people, and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And so I explained them what's going on, and obviously frantically, but, like, trying to stay calm, they're like, no, you can't come through here. You don't have a flight. I'm like, yeah, I know I don't have a flight. Like, I really don't have a flight now because this ticket doesn't say my name. So they're like, well, this isn't our fault. Like, we just rent this space or something. It's not the airport's fault. I'm like, well, it's obviously the guy who typed this ticket's fault. He looked at my ID and put that I was Valentina Gabrielle. So then they're like, well, you got to just go to guest services. You can't go back to here. Go to guest services and ask them to, like, page someone from United. So I'm like, I am never getting home. I'm stuck in this airport forever. So I go to guest services. The guy at guest services was actually probably the nicest guy there. He was so sweet, and he was like, it's okay. I'm paging someone from United. The United desk, there was, like, another United desk, like, outside of security. He's like, walk to that desk, and because there was no one there. He's like, by the time you get there, I will have someone there waiting for you. So as I'm walking back to the United desk, I literally bump into the guy that made me the phony ticket. He's, like, walking the other direction. I'm like, hey, remember me? And he's like, what's up? I was like, yeah, this isn't my name on this ticket that you printed out for me. And I will say his face dropped. Like, he was shocked. It must have been an actual mistake. In the moment, I felt like he had done it viciously and on purpose. So he's like, come with me, come with me. I was already walking to the United desk. He just brought me to the United desk. And to the person that was standing there who was going to help me anyway, he was like, I messed up her ticket. Like, I put the wrong name. Like, he did, like, kind of take accountability. But I was like, okay. Like, I said to everyone, I was like, it's fine. Just can you get me on the 6:30, 6:28 a.m. flight? I was like, that's all I care about. And finding a place to sleep tonight, essentially. That was the other thing. Like, where am I going to sleep tonight? So the guy that messed up the ticket leaves because he was like, I'm leaving you with this guy. You'll be fine. I was like, okay. The new guy was, like, a younger guy, probably, like, around my age, and he hooked it up. He, like, tapped. I keep saying tap, 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 because that's how it feels, like, when you're standing there and, like, you're just hoping something will work out, and they're, like, on their computers, and it's like, click, 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 click. You're like, like, deep cleansing breaths. So he hands me my ticket, gets me a seat. He upgraded me to first class, which was nice, even though I ended up sleeping the whole flight anyway. But he upgraded me to first class, and he was like, you are set for the next day. I promise you're on the 6:30, whatever. I keep saying 6:30, 6:28, whatever. 6:28 flight. And I promise you're on it. Don't freak out. Don't worry. So I had my ticket. I, like, held on to that ticket for dear life, shoved it in my wallet. I was like, please don't lose this. So then I walk back to guest services, and I'm like, okay, I need you to tell me what hotel I should stay at for tonight. So he finds me, like, a Courtyard Marriott that's called the Airport because it was only 5 minutes away. He called them, double-checked they had a room available, but the only thing that was messed up was they were not covering our hotels because they claimed since it was a weather issue, we didn't get hotel vouchers, but it really was an issue because that crew person wasn't there, and then we lost our spot at the airport, so I ended up having to pay for the hotel, which sucked. I don't know, maybe I should call United and try to get a refund. But okay, so he tells me to, when I get to the airport, to the hotel, to tell them I need a distressed passenger rate, which I was like, okay. So when I get to the hotel, I tell them that, and they essentially, the woman at the desk was like, I can't give it to you for free. This isn't for free. He's like, she was like, but I can give you the senior citizen discount. So I was like, okay, fine. Thank you. And so I got a hotel for the night. And I think by the time I got to the hotel, it was like 10:30 p.m. after all the fiascos that happened. And I had to be up at 4 a.m. to go back to the airport to make sure I didn't miss that next flight. So I get into the room, and I just called Dave, and I called my mom just to, like, give them an update of everything that had unfolded, because the last thing they knew, the flight was canceled, but they didn't know about the messed up ticket and the hotel and everything. So I called them to tell them, and then I was like, and now I am going to bed. So I didn't even want to open my suitcase because I had already like packed it all. It was all set. So I literally laid in the bed in my outfit that I was like traveling in. So I like have never done this before. I kept all my jewelry on. I had on like earrings, a watch. I did take my glasses off, but I just like laid and slept like this because I was like, I just in the morning at 4 a.m. I was like, I don't want to have to get redressed, change, whatever. I was like, I just want to go. I just want to go. I don't want to think about anything. So by the time I laid down and closed my eyes, my alarm went off. It was 4 a.m. And I was trekking back to the airport, got there. The flight did not board on time. It boarded probably like 30 minutes late. Again, Twilight Zone. I just totally felt like I was in a dream or like in another world. Finally got on the plane. We had to walk outside to get on the plane. It was like that small of an airport. I like hadn't done that in so long. And got on the plane. The minute I sat in my seat, I feel like I passed out and I fell asleep. And then the next thing I knew, they were like, welcome to Newark. I was like, thank you, God. I'm home. Literally, I don't think I'd ever been more excited to be home or to make it home. And that was the saga of getting home. Everyone else from The Bachelorette was tucked in nice home in their beds, and little old me, Carrie Bradshaw Takes the Wilderness, was stuck in Asheville for another night alone. But moral of the story is, I mean, I don't know what the moral of the story is from the airplane fiasco. Maybe practice patience, which I need to practice better. But everything works out and everything was A-okay. And it's definitely a story that the airport story is definitely a story that I will talk about for a while. But I will say when I landed back at Newark, there must have been tons of cancellations on that side as well, because there was people like sleeping all over the airport. So I was definitely very, very thankful that I did make it home when I did. So my making it in Manhattan tip of the week. Okay, I have two. The first one is to just cherish your friendships and like keep in touch with your friends, follow up with your friends. We get so caught up in our lives and in, our work and in everything going on so just make sure to like keep in touch with especially your college friends. For me, as I said, a lot of my friends don't live near me, so it's not like I can just bump into them every day and see them. So really cherish and hold on to those relationships and onto the people that have known you for such a long time, and do your best to like keep in touch. I think the beauty of that weekend really taught me like no matter how much time passes, like you just fall back into your old patterns with your college friends and it feels like no time has passed at all, which I think is a really beautiful thing and is also like a testament to a good friendship. And my second tip is to do something that makes you scared. Do something that pushes you outside of your comfort zone, makes you scared, and yeah, just makes you try something new. Because as I said, I was super nervous going into the weekend and into water rafting and everything because it was something that just like wasn't my strength. But in the end, I was so happy that I did it, and I made so many fun and funny memories and just like new friendships with amazing and great people. And then I do have a Making It a Manhattan question this week because I actually posted that picture I mentioned of myself on the tube grasping for dear life in my pink outfit. And I got some questions about the outfit. And so the question I'm going to use this week is, I would love an episode, yes, an episode, so here we are, about how to infiltrate sporty looks with your own style. I do this through hairstyle and socks, but color is definitely your domain, and I would love your thoughts on this. So, like, how to, I guess, personally just, like, take sporty looks, but then, like, do them in my personal style, because I obviously love color, and I love sparkle, and all that fun stuff. I think my biggest tip would just be, like, that. Like, no matter what you're wearing, it could be something sporty and outdoorsy, it could be pajamas, it could be a workout set. I think always looking for pieces that feel like you. So, for example, the outfit that I wore sparkly pink Tevas and a sparkly pink bikini, a vintage oversized striped button down, a big printed sun hat, and pink glasses. So, look for pieces. They can still be sporty. They can be a cool sneaker. It can be a pair of like hiking boots. It can be a pair of platform sandals for walking on rocks in a river. Look for pieces that are still colorful, that are still sparkly, that are still fun. Because I think when you have pieces like that that are already colorful and fun, it makes putting together the outfit so much easier. I've talked about this a little bit before about how my wardrobe is mainly made up of statement pieces rather than staple pieces. So when you have all statement pieces, all color, all fun, it only forces you to just wear more color. So in terms of like, making sporty looks more my style, I think it's just buying items that are sporty, that are just colorful or sparkly or printed or patterned if you have the option to do so. If you don't, you can always dress things up with a fun pair of glasses, a fun hat, a cute hoodie, a cute crew neck. I think just looking for pieces that are colorful and fun will ultimately just make the sporty looks feel more like you. Okay, so that is a wrap on Caroline in the Wilderness. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I feel like I am still mentally and physically recovering, mainly from that flight home and that fiasco. Leave me a comment, send me a DM, let me know your thoughts and if you've ever had an experience similar to this, and I will see you guys soon.